In the rolling hills of Kentucky, where morning mist clings to forgotten meadows, stands what remains of Pleasant Hill. In 1834, this Shaker community vanished overnight. Over 300 souls simply disappeared. Not a single body was found. No signs of struggle. No explanation. They left behind empty buildings, set tables, and a silence so profound that locals still refuse to walk these grounds after dark. For nearly 2 centuries, the state of Kentucky kept the official record sealed. But recently uncovered testimony reveals a truth so horrifying, it challenges everything we thought we knew about America's religious communities. What happened at Pleasant Hill wasn't a mass disappearance. It was 27 years of systematic terror, disguised as holy devotion, orchestrated by a single family whose corruption ran deeper than anyone could imagine. The year was 1807. The Second Great Awakening was sweeping across Kentucky, and Pleasant Hill emerged as a sanctuary. It attracted hundreds of converts seeking to live by Shaker principles: celibacy, communal property, and separation from the world's corruption. But at the heart of this seemingly devout community stood the Richardson family. Elder Samuel Richardson, with his piercing gray eyes and commanding voice, claimed direct ordination from Mother Ann Lee's original disciples. His wife, Sister Martha, possessed an almost supernatural ability to read people's fears. Together with their children Ezekiel, who managed the farms, Caleb, the security chief, Rebecca, who oversaw new converts, and Patience, the master forger, they controlled every aspect of life at Pleasant Hill. Their extended family network stretched through the community like roots of an ancient oak. Uncle Jeremiah ran the furniture workshops. Cousin Isaiah managed the seed business that provided cover for darker activities. Aunt Hannah controlled the kitchens, using her knowledge of herbs to reward compliance and punish dissent. To outsiders, Pleasant Hill was a model of spiritual perfection. The gardens were pristine, the crafts were exquisite. The members appeared content. But beneath this facade lay a perfect totalitarian environment. Surveillance was constant. Dissent was impossible. And questioning the family's authority was treated as questioning God himself. The first crack in their facade appeared in 1812, when Brother Thomas Whitman, a former merchant, noticed discrepancies in the community's financial records. During a public meeting, he stood and asked uncomfortable questions about missing money and inconsistent membership numbers. The family's response was immediate and brutal. That evening, Thomas was found dead in his bed. Sister Rebecca announced he had passed gently in his sleep after confessing his sin of doubt. But young Sister Mary Caldwell, who cleaned the dormitories, noticed details that would haunt her for decades. The bitter almond smell in his room, the blue tint to his fingernails, the foam around his mouth that had been carefully wiped away. Thomas's personal papers were burned in a cleansing ceremony. His name was erased from records. Within a month, it was as if he had never existed. This established the pattern that would continue for decades. The Richardsons had developed what they called the retreat system. Those who asked questions were sent to isolated cabins for prayer and fasting, cages with barred windows and doors that locked from the outside. Sister Hannah's forgery operation created convincing letters to families, explaining their loved ones' sudden departures or deaths. Brother Isaiah's seed business provided cover for disposing of bodies across Kentucky, Ohio, and Tennessee. The community's population remained steady at around 400 members through careful balancing of new converts against systematic elimination of problems. The beginning of the end came in late 1833. The legitimate Shaker leadership in Ohio, impressed by Pleasant Hill's reputation, sent Elder Joseph Mecham to evaluate them for official inclusion in their union. Mecham was no ordinary visitor. He was a genuine disciple with 40 years of experience who knew authentic Shaker practices intimately. His first requests immediately raised alarms. He wanted to examine financial records dating back to 1807, speak privately with randomly selected members, and reconcile membership numbers with consumption records. The family's attempts to delay and deflect only intensified his suspicions. During evening walks, Mecham noticed members responding to his genuine spiritual presence in ways that terrified the Richardsons. Sister Mary Caldwell, who had carried her secret for over 20 years, saw her chance. One night, she approached him in the cemetery and whispered the truth. God has sent you to reveal what we've been too terrified to speak. What she described was a nightmare. The Richardsons had been systematically murdering anyone who threatened their power. Sister Hannah kept poisons in the kitchen. Brother Caleb maintained lists of problems who disappeared within days. Brother Jeremiah disposed of bodies during his furniture deliveries. Most horrifyingly, they were unkilling everyone. The young and strong were sold as indentured servants through Brother Isaiah's seed business, which served as a cover for human trafficking. Realizing exposure was inevitable, the Richardsons made a desperate decision: eliminate all witnesses and escape. They confined the remaining 250 members in basement storage rooms without food or water, while they debated whether to kill them all or take the most valuable to sell. Mecham and Mary fled through the night to Harrodsburg, where they convinced authorities to organize an immediate raid. What they found upon returning was even more horrifying than they imagined. Of the 250 members, only 37 remained alive, those chosen for their youth and strength. Marked for sale 2 plantations in Mississippi and Alabama. The physical evidence was overwhelming. Hidden burial sites throughout the property contained over 150 unmarked graves, many with multiple bodies showing signs of poisoning, strangulation, and blunt force trauma. In the family's private quarters, investigators found detailed ledgers of their human trafficking operations, generating over $40,000 in profits, far exceeding their legitimate income. Most chilling was Martha Richardson's personal journal, which documented 15 years of psychological manipulation experiments with clinical precision. She viewed human beings as resources to be exploited, with profiles assessing each person's value as a worker, potential for resistance, and suitability for various types of exploitation. The Richardson family's trial shocked the nation. Samuel, Martha, and their 6 adult children were convicted of murder, kidnapping, fraud, and human trafficking. All were executed in October 1834, but for the 37 survivors, the trauma never ended. Many struggled with severe psychological damage, unable to trust religious communities or authority figures ever again. The state of Kentucky sealed most records, concerned about damaging the region's reputation. The buildings were demolished. The land sold to farmers who were told the community had disbanded due to financial difficulties. Modern historians estimate the Richardsons murdered or sold into slavery over 400 people during their 27-year reign. This mystery shows us how easily religious faith can be weaponized by those who understand psychology and control. The Richardsons succeeded because they exploited people's deepest spiritual longings, transforming the desire for divine connection into a tool of oppression. Their story remains a terrifying reminder that evil often disguises itself as virtue, and that isolation, whether geographical or psychological, can create conditions where unspeakable horrors can flourish undetected. The silence at Pleasant Hill still speaks. The question is, are we listening?